Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. So, I never thought I would be posting like this. But here it goes. Fair warning, this will be long, so please bear with me. For context, a mid-30s female was engaged to my fiancé, early 40s male. Let's call him Kevin. We met in our country club through mutual friends in a group setting. And we did hit it off. I was working back then as a director, and at a very high level of seniority with 30 people under my guidance, and I never treated them as a boss, always being fair in my job with my subordinates. Flexible hours. Wasn't too concerned with when they arrived at work, as long as they delivered the tasks correctly, and made sure they got their semi-annual pay raise and the annual profit share, and never fired anyone unless it was the last resort. My ex-fiancé didn't care too much about what I did for a living, cause he sees himself as the provider, and always tried to minimize my work when asked about me. At first, I didn't want to end up alone, and thought maybe if I just held on a little longer, things would sort of get fixed in a way of sorts. But inevitably, what happened was that he resented me, and I found that out through our group of friends. As an engaged couple, he would always try to take the lead in things, never giving me a chance to speak my mind, and then telling me when we were alone that I am a moron and an idiot for dreaming big. The company I worked at, I was the youngest director under the age of 40, and for some odd reason that made his blood boil, always arguing. The better I did at work, the worse we did, and so to try and smooth things over, I did submit my resignation letter and my contract got terminated by the end of June 2023. I was paying more attention to him, just like he wanted, and stopped everything that he didn't want me doing to make him happy. I am a hopeless romantic and I adored him. Don't judge me too harshly. As we started preparing for the wedding, and I bought a new apartment for us and went furniture shopping, things were starting to get better bit by bit. Or so I thought. Until I was at a cafe with friends and we were waiting for him, only for him to reject my calls. At first, I tried to brush it off, thinking traffic, until my friends told me they had to leave, and I was waiting in that cafe alone for 4.5 hours when he showed up. His hair disheveled, and his clothes looked damp, like he had a shower. I tried asking him what held him up for 4.5 hours, but he wouldn't utter a single peep about his whereabouts, and tried to act like I was the crazy one saying, "Astrid, sweaty. You're imagining things. I think you're just confused." Honestly, I was so pissed that my blood pressure was sky high that day. I went home feeling so off about everything, unable to pinpoint what the hell had happened. The very next day, I got a text from an unknown number telling me, "If you want to know the whole truth about your perfect, can do no wrong, fiancé, meet me at the same cafe you were at yesterday at 12:30 sharp." My gut feeling told me I should go, and I did, and ignored his calls that day. When I went, I found a tall Barbie-looking girl telling me, "You must be Astrid." For description, I'm 165 centimeters and 57 kilograms, with long reddish-brown hair and hazel eyes, but I am nowhere near looking like a Barbie. She felt so warm and welcoming, and was asking me how did me and Kevin meet. I told her it was through a group meeting and mutual friends, and we kinda hit it off. She was like, "I don't want to alarm you, but I think you deserve to know the truth." I stared at her blankly, asking her what she meant. And that is when she told me that my so-perfect fiancé, who was adamant I quit my job, was actually working with his ex-fiancé in the same company before we even met, and was complaining to her about me non-stop, and to his mom, and he was the very reason my friends were starting to leave me one by one, along with his mom being the one adamant I leave my job. I tried to tell her that she was insane, and that is when she pulled a large manila envelope containing photos of him and his ex at the very same cafe we were sitting at, and sitting intimately. I stayed quiet and listened to everything, went home, packed my bags, and headed for the new apartment that I had bought. Called the locksmith, and had the locks changed that same day. Packed all his belongings in 3 large boxes and his suitcase that belonged to him. He had bought things for our apartment, so these were his things, and left them at the side of the road. After a half hour, I called the hotel, the caterers, the photographer, and canceled everything, and called his mom, his dad and sister, and sent them during his sister's birthday party that was, oddly enough, that same day, the photos of their precious son cheating. He is called, saying that he and his ex didn't have S, and that I was blowing things out of proportion, saying that I will live to regret it, and that I am already not young, so I will end up alone. So I ask you all, am I in the wrong for having done this, given the fact that he used to dictate every single detail about me, from my hairstyle, manicure and clothes, to the car I drove and everything in between? I am questioning my decision now. P.S. To those who are saying it was written by AI. Ha! I really wish this was a joke or something, but it's not. All I have left is my apartment, and I still don't have all the furniture. The only good thing out of this is that the apartment is fully my own, and I paid for it with half of my savings. To those asking about the friends part, he was feeding them lies, saying I was too in my head and too arrogant, and that he would come home to a house that was untidy and no food in the fridge, although I made sure never to set foot out of the house without the fridge being fully stocked with cooked food. And I mean all kinds of food: ribeye steak, chicken pot pie, apple strudel, his favorite, custard, homemade yogurt, gnocchi, anything he wanted me to cook. I made a habit of learning it. Well, he was never going to change. OP sacrificed her entire career, something she earned with blood, sweat, and sleepless nights, just to be enough for a man who clearly resented her success. That wasn't love. That was control. He couldn't stand that OP was thriving without needing him to validate her. And the second she gave up her power, he still went running back to his ex. OP did the bravest thing a woman in her position could do. She walked away. He's not angry because OP ruined his life. He's angry because she took her life back. And now let's hear community's opinion. Not the a-hole, and also, you're a legend. The way you handled the aftermath with the boxes, the family group bomb, and canceling everything, chef's kiss. He had the audacity to call you crazy while sneaking around with his ex, and then tried to nag you by saying you're not young anymore, like he's some prize. The irony of a damp, disheveled man-child showing up late with zero explanation, trying to play it cool. You were dating a manipulator with a fragile ego. You didn't dodge a bullet. You dodged a full-on nuclear missile. Let me get this straight. You gave up your career, devoted yourself to the relationship, bought the apartment, kept his stomach full of gourmet-level meals, and still got treated like an afterthought. Girl, you're not asking the right question. It's not, was I wrong to leave? It's, why the hell didn't I leave sooner? You were being slowly erased piece by piece by a man whose masculinity depended on dimming your light. You don't need furniture to sit on. You need a damn throne, because that's what you deserve. Update. Buckle up, kitty cats, because this story got crazier than a soap opera on double speed. So, I ended my engagement because my ex was the walking definition of red flags. Turns out, that was just the beginning. After the breakup, this man started calling me from every number known to man. Unknown, blocked, probably even his neighbor's landline. He showed up wherever I went, doing his best, I'm just here to talk routine. Buddy, this isn't a redemption arc. This is creep alert level 10. But the real jaw-dropper, my wedding dress. I had left it, unfortunately, in a shared storage unit we used back when I was still engaged. His sister, yes, you read that right, wore my dress to her engagement party. Not just that, but when I asked her to return it, she sent it back looking like it had been mauled by raccoons during a vineyard brawl. Pearls ripped off, seams shredded, wine spilled all over it like it just lost a drinking contest. It was unrecognizable. I cried. Then I called a lawyer. Yes, I filed a lawsuit against her. And I'm not done yet because, honestly, I don't know how to keep her away for good. Open to ideas, restraining order, voodoo, but… And here's the glow-up you were rooting for. I got an even better job than the one I quit for him. Way better salary, amazing hours, perks galore. Fully furnished my apartment like a queen on a mission. Dropped the extra weight, physical and emotional. And I'm basically glowing like the sun because peace is greater than drama. To everyone who said I dodged a bullet, no, babes. I dodged a grenade launcher. I know the title sounds bad, but hear me out. I, 27 female, have never been particularly close to my family. My parents, 62 female and 63 male, had always been partial towards my brother Nathan while growing up, because he was their sole true heir, and I was like this unlucky pick they got off a claw machine they'd played for a second son. I come from a staunch Christian family that strictly believed in set gender roles while growing up. So much so that I'd be getting knitting needles for Christmas when I was 7, while Natty got 3 to 5 expensive toys that he'd asked for that year. I hated going to church groups and Sunday schools, and eventually turned out to be an atheist, much to the chagrin of my parents. I funded my own college and further studies with a loan I'm still repaying to this day, while they had separate college funds for their blue-eyed boy. My father never approved of my career choices because a homely woman is a graceful woman, and he always thought I was silly to pursue a career in science. I'm a physicist. Because women aren't good at numbers. I'm terrified of failing at anything in life because I know that'll reinstate their faith in my stupidity. I went no contact with their lot 2 years back when they tried to pressure me to marry a random man from our hometown because apparently he could recommend my brother, 31 male, to a job position he was vying for, while trying to package it as, "Okay, lassie, you had your little fun and games. Now 'tis time to settle down and be a responsible adult." Then on, I've talked to my mom over the phone a couple of times during the holidays, but that was about it. Last month, my mother rang to tell me that my brother has been diagnosed with leukemia, and they need me to fund his medical care. I had started saving up for a house, and she told me she knows about my little nest egg, but I do not need it, because some man will provide for me eventually. I flat out refused and told her they could get themselves a loan if they're so hard for cash, but this tiny lump sum has taken me almost 4 years to gather, and I can't jeopardize my future for this. Since then, I'm getting calls and texts from most of my extended family telling me how much of a selfish a-hole I am, how it's my duty to my brother and my family to stand beside them. My father yelled at me over the phone, calling me an ungrateful little bee who abandoned them at the mere sight of greener shores. I'm having second thoughts as to if I really am quite a gigantic prick for not footing my brother's medical bills, since I have the money for it. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I know I haven't mentioned as much about my brother here as I should have, and I apologize for that. As I mentioned in my comments, he was a jerk growing up, aided by the disinterest from my parents, who always chose to look the other way, but as an adult, he actually made an effort to mend his relationship with me. We don't speak a lot, but I do talk to my brother way more than I do my parents. I'm quite apprehensive of the kind of medical assistance he's going to get in these times, and I'm prepared to help out whichever way I can, barring the money. I, as a person, am excessively insecure and paranoid about my future money situations, and I don't think I can put that up for a toss for anything at all. Edit 2. Certain points to clear this off further. 1. My mother knows about my savings from my brother, who knows how much I craved having a place of my own, and because I've quite often discussed how excited I am when I eventually will. He once jokingly called me a control freak, which maybe I am a little, because I do want to have a place where I can do things my way without being judged or controlled. 2. My brother has been out of his job for close to 3 years now. I'm from UK, so we do have NHS, but I'm not sure if it covers aftercare. My parents didn't provide a breakup for the money they need. They automatically assumed all of the family would chip in with whatever hard cash they could spare, and that includes my life savings, because of course, how can anyone prioritize a tiny loft over her brother's life? 3. I do think my brother expects complete submission of my assets to his health care, because he hasn't spoken to me since my mother's phone call. He had admitted previously that he'd treated me badly growing up, but I don't think he considers himself treated better than he deserved by my parents, just that I was mistreated. At this point, misogyny is so deeply ingrained in him, especially since he's always gotten to be on the fatter side of it. I don't think I could change his perspective. My parents mingle in a circle of people with similar outlooks, and they've never tried to hide in public their strict Christian upbringing of their children, where girls are taught to be docile and unquestioning. Super edit. At this point of time, I'm not even sure if my brother is ill at all, and since nobody in my family is speaking to me, I have no dependable way to find out. I plan on contacting the local Macmillan Cancer Support for any future assistance, if the situation indeed demands one, and go on from there. Not the a-hole. If they're so Christian, then they can all empty their life savings to help him instead of asking you. Who knows? Maybe all he needs is someone to pray the leukemia away. Just tell them, surely with their collective power, how much money they would all be able to raise if they sold their houses. Not the a-hole. It's sad about your brother and your family, but this is your future nest egg. In a traditional household, doesn't the son usually inherit the most anyway, so they can give him his inheritance early if need be? This is not on you. Not the a-hole. Honestly, I just advise you to go complete no contact. Block them on your social media, change your phone numbers and email, and if they send you snail mail, mark it return to sender. And I know this won't mean much coming from an internet stranger, but I am proud of you for escaping their misogynistic BS and forging a happy life for yourself. I'm going to preface, I did not know my husband had a son from his ex-girlfriend. I married my husband not knowing he had a son. I only found out about it after my daughter turned 2. We've dated for 3 years, but not once did he mention his son. I never met his son before that, even after our wedding and during my pregnancy. It was the girlfriend who came over to our house with Josh. He was 5 back then. Nonetheless, after a lot of counseling, talks, me going through and asking every single question there is, even the absurd ones, we figured it out. I went from livid about his omission to just annoyed. Josh occasionally stays over throughout the 11 years since I was made aware of him, and throughout those times, he sleeps on our pull-out couch. We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment and had another girl. So my daughters, Anna 13 and Jane 10, shared a bedroom. I tried my best when it came to Josh, but he said he never saw me as his mom, which was fair to me. Josh turned 16 and stuff went down with the court. I don't know the full details. All I know is that Josh's mom was deemed unfit. My husband said Josh had nowhere to go and can't stay at his aunt's forever. We're not rich, but we needed to make a plan. We moved into a 2-bedroom house, but with a furnished basement. Before we told the kids, my husband and I talked. I said that we should give the basement to the 2 girls, since it's a bigger space to share. They will hit their teens, and I don't want them to feel cramped and seem like they don't have privacy from each other when they need it. Josh would be taking the bedroom upstairs. My husband agreed. The day we move in, he flipped it. He told Josh that he was getting the basement and that it would be all his. It was like a mini living room, etc. I was livid and pulled my husband aside. He told me Josh was planning to stay here while he goes to college in the future, and it should be fair for him to get a bigger space. I said it's fine if he wants to stay. I'll give him that choice. But the girls are going to turn into teens. It's not fair for them to be cramped in a 1-bedroom and lack privacy from each other. He told me to tell Josh myself then. I did. I sat down with Josh. I told him that the initial agreement was he can get the upstairs for as long as he needs, and that it has a walk-in closet and we can even install a TV for him. His gaming setup also fits with still a lot of room to play VR. Josh blew up on me. He called me a-hole and said just because I wasn't his son, I shouldn't be taking his room away. He told me he was sick and tired of me always favoring the girls, which, in my opinion, I tried my best. I brought him with us on trips. The girls enjoy his company and look up to him. I paid for his school trips. I sat with him during a lot of parent-teacher conference. I called out from work when he was sick to take care of him. I tried my best, but I feel like I made the a-hole in this situation. Edit. I called my mother and explained the situation. She lives far from me, but she told me that this isn't normal. I thought it was, and that I was getting taken advantage of. She was against my marriage, but I never understood why till now. She told me to do things discreetly. We agreed to a prenuptial, and the house is in my name. I'm not sure if I want divorce since I don't understand certain things, but I will keep it in mind. I don't know what will happen to Josh if we divorce. Not the a-hole. I'm baffled why you are still with your husband after he kept such a large thing from you, and it sounds like you two have other daily issues. Not the a-hole. Shame on your husband. This is a husband problem, not a kid problem. He needs to fix this, or he will create a life of hell for you. Also, how could you not know the details of his court issues? He said it wasn't my business, and that this was between him and his ex. If Josh wanted me to know, Josh would tell me. All I know is that Josh mentioned that his mom wasn't nice to him. I don't know these kind of things. I tried to research with whatever time I had, but it's all so confusing. Not the a-hole. Your husband is a massive a-hole. I am short of words. Hiding he had a son, not working. Why? Your girls are not babies anymore. Not taking care of his children, even though he is a stay-at-home parent. Basically living a very pleasant life without any responsibility. On top of that, lying to you and sabotaging your joint decision about the living situation. What a catch. So sorry you're in this situation, OP. My 26 male, sister, 27 female, is the second child, and I am the third in our family. We have one older sister, who I will call Natalie, 29 female, who got married in 2019 and then had her first baby in 2021. My family is super traditional, and so Natalie wanted to be the first to get married and have a baby. She waited 2 years before finally getting pregnant because of the virus and her moving away with her husband. Because of this, my second oldest sister, who I will call Kimberly, waited to get married and get pregnant until after Natalie announced her pregnancy. She had been trying for a child for a few months before I announced the date of my and my fiancé's wedding, which would be held in September of 2023. I announced this in the fall of 2022, and I asked her to stop trying for a baby so that she would be able to come to the wedding, as it will be a destination wedding, and you can't fly when you're pregnant. She told me she would take it into consideration, but because she had been trying for close to 7 months, and she and our eldest sister wanted to have their kids be close in age, surprise, surprise, she got pregnant soon after. The real kicker? Her due date is the exact same day as my wedding. I'm furious, and so is my fiancé. When we found out it would be the same date, I insisted my mom come to my wedding and not the birth because I announced the wedding date before Kimberly got pregnant. I've been the primary planner of my wedding, and I'm so excited to get married to my fiancé of 5 years. My whole family knows how much effort I've been putting into the planning since I proposed. Because of this, my mom informed Kimberly she will be coming to my wedding and not the birth. My entire family is split down the middle as to whether my mom should be at attendance at my wedding or the birth of Kimberly's first child. For context, my dad is a bit of a jerk and useless in a crisis. So mom is definitely the favored parent, and the wedding is happening across the country from where Kimberly plans to give birth. This has torn my family apart. So am I the a-hole? Quick edit. I'm pissed at my sister for going against my ask since she knew how excited I was for the wedding, and I wanted her to be in it. She is furious at me for convincing my mom not to go to the birth, since my mom was at our oldest sister's first birth. We are not speaking right now. Edit. I only asked my sister to try not to conceive for 1 or 2 months, so that she wouldn't be due too close to the wedding and have to miss it. This remark alone decides it already. You're the a-hole, and a little hint. You're not the protagonist of other people's lives. And that whole "I cannot marry or have a child before the older sibling" is just biblical bullcrap. And last I checked, weddings or even renewing of vows can be postponed or done earlier. You can even have a big party on a day where you did not sign the marriage papers. Try doing that with pregnancies. Everyone sucks here. Your whole family's mentality around putting each other's major life events on hold to fit the timeline of another person is absurd. Your mom sucks for raising you all to think this way. It's absurd that your middle sister waited 2 years for your older sister. It's absurd that you expect your sister to hold off trying to get pregnant for your wedding. It's absurd for you to demand that your mom attend one event over the other. The whole thing is absurd. You're the a-hole. You can't expect someone to stop trying for a baby just because you are getting married. I am surprised you would even ask her such a thing. Also, I understand that you want both your parents at your wedding, but a new mother needs a lot of support. She will need her mother when the baby is there, and I guess that's the difference between you and your sister here. You want your mother, and she needs her mother. Having said that, I don't know a single baby who was born on their due date. He or she might come early or late, and your mother might be able to be there for both of you. Back in November, my half-sister, 19 female, graduated from her Air Force basic training. Because of my schedule, I took a flight to the city and back. Round trip cost me around $550. My half-sister's mom, Janet, 40 female, rented a van for her and the other 4 people who attended the graduation to drive there and back. This trip was 48 hours total. While we were there, we would all pile into the van and go to whatever activities we had planned for the day. About a week after getting back, Janet puts all of us, excluding half-sister, into a group chat and tells us that the rental company is fining her another $500 for a cleaning fee. Once they were back, she had picked up my half-sister's dog and brought it home, so there was dog hair in the van. She claimed since we had all used the van, we should all pay a portion of the fine. I called the rental company and they explained that this fee was because there was dog hair in the car, and the agreement that she signed states that there are no pets allowed in the vehicle, and that if the contract is broken in any way, the fine is $500. After this call, I messaged back telling Janet that I will not be paying anything, because I paid for myself to fly instead of ride in the van, and I didn't break the contract. She lashed back, saying that you have a job to pay for these things. If I added up the cost of you riding in the van with us, it would be much more. I don't live with my parents or have a husband to help with bills. Half-sister made a courageous decision to join the military, and since this is her dog, you should be willing to pitch in. The people who rode in the van for the trip there and back all paid what she asked. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She broke the rental agreement all on her own and can pay the fine all on her own. Not the a-hole. She signed off on the contract that stipulated no pets. She chose to pick up the dog in the rental that stipulated no pets. This is all on her. No, definitely not the a-hole. She isn't asking for people to pitch in for gas or anything. She is asking for you to pay for her breaking the lease agreement. That isn't your responsibility. It's fully hers. She should have thought about that before she broke the lease agreement.